Yeah, guys, before we get into our next topic, speaking of chewing on things from the guest, you've probably heard of Chewy. They really do have everything you need to keep your pet happy and healthy. Whether you're shopping for food, treats, or even pet care, Chewy makes it fast, easy, and affordable. With over 100,000 products from all your favorite brands, Chewy has everything your pet needs, from food, treats, toys, beds, and grooming. And it's not even just for dogs and cats. They've got supplies for birds, fish, reptiles, and small pets too. And it also makes it super easy to manage your pet's health with prescriptions, telehealth visits, and in-person vet clinics popping up all over the world, all over the nation. My parents and I use Chewy to order our cats' food. I love how fast their delivery is, and the auto ship has saved us tons of money. Chewy has everything you need to keep your pet happy and healthy. Right now, you can save $20 with your first order and get free shipping by going to chewy.com or clicking the link in the description. Save $20 on your first order with free shipping by clicking the link in the description. Minimum purchase required. New customers only, and terms and conditions do apply. See site for complete details.
All right, Anthony. Well, let's follow up on what he had to say. Obviously, he's covered these guys. He knows them personally, on some level. He obviously extremely high on both players. Does his comments about Shedeur Sanders, we asked him about the good, the bad, he addressed it all. Does his comments on Shedeur Sanders change your thoughts at all, Dustin, on whether the Browns should draft him or not?
I left blown away by what Shedeur did at the Super Bowl with those guys.
That's really cool.
Pretty cool.
Really, really
that doesn't necessarily make him a great football player, but very cool.
No, it means something bigger than football.
Right.
It tells me about his kid's character.
Yeah.
When he could do whatever he wants to do. So I think that's really cool. I already know he's a good player. Like, I have no doubt about that. I don't think that he's going to come to the league and the lights would be too big for him, or too bright rather. He'll be fine. I just wonder if the skill level is going to – does he have the elite level?
Well,
can he get to that elite level? I think he'll be a good player. The Browns don't need good.
Yeah.
They need somebody who's going to be, above that, a great player, essentially.
Ultimately, that's why they moved on from Baker.
Yeah.
But they also was good, but he wasn't – they didn't think he could be great.
But they also need to have somebody that's going to be a great leader.
Yeah.
For the franchise. Somebody that people can feel really good about buying that guy's jersey, wearing it to the games, knowing that no matter what, you're going to have a chance because of that guy.
I think the interesting thing about Shedeur Sanders is he may not have a huge upside. Maybe. I don't know. I think his floor is probably the highest, including Cam Ward maybe.
Yeah.
He's probably the least likely to be a total bust.
Yeah, he won't be a bust.
He's so smart.
He might just be like
might just be good.
I use him as an example a lot, but he might just be Andy Dalton.
Whatever. That guy,
the Browns would kill for Andy Dalton.
Will play in the league for a decade plus.
No doubt
about it. Whether he's a great player, starter, or whatever, or if he's,
the Browns would kill for Andy Dalton. Let's be honest.
Dalton, Derek Carr, they would that level of quarterback. Yeah. And ultimately, if he's Dalton, Derek Carr, okay, he's going to start. Yeah, you don't win a Super Bowl with that guy.
But those guys have been to the playoffs.
They have. Certainly Dalton was a lot of times. But the thing is, Shedeur's, some of his biggest strengths are more intangibles.
Yes.
And I think that makes teams nervous. And those things you don't have a feel for just meeting with a guy once or twice. Great leadership, used to the pressure more than probably any quarterback that's ever come out of college, or almost any quarterback, if not any quarterback coming out of college. Intelligence. A lot of these things are. Well, I don't know does that mean, I don't know.
You weren't here Monday.
Yeah.
We had the discussion, why is Shedeur such a hard quarterback evaluation compared to some of the other guys? And Jason brought up the point that, kind of along your lines, the stuff that we know he's really good at, the processing, the pre-snap reads, and understanding what a defense is trying to do, it's all mental, and you can't track that per se.
That's right. There's no
with
stats.
With a specific statistic that points to X plus Y equals Z. The stuff that you can track, the numbers are good. They speak for themselves. 36 touchdowns, 8 picks last year.
Yeah.
You could look at the route tree. Corey Kimmin on Twitter put out his pass route accuracy and his frequency and did a really good chart. I would recommend looking at it. I think it's daftdraft.com is where he had it at, but Corey Kimmin on Twitter tweeted it out. Like a really good breakdown of some of the nuances in his game. But then the question is, does that translate from Colorado to the pros without some of the elite level attributes you would ideally wish a quarterback would have?
But isn't his accuracy an elite level attribute?
I agree with that. And I think ball placement, which goes alongside with accuracy, is an elite level attribute. But arm strength
and the ability to fit balls into tighter windows when everyone's faster, and you may not have that 105-mile-an-hour fastball. You're topping out at 97. Does it still get through those windows in the pros like it did college? And it was just I don't know the answer. I'm not a quarterback evaluator, but I think those are some of the reasons why Shedeur has such a wide variance and how not just we look at him and not just people on Twitter, but you hear from Zach Jackson and Jason Lloyd. Some guys have him as a top 5 prospect, and some guys think he's a second-round pick.
And, I mean, again, I'm not comparing him to these guys, but what was Tom Brady's elite trait coming out of college?
That's what Jason said.
What was Joe Burrow's elite trait coming out of college? I don't know that he was – is Joe Burrow it's his accuracy.
Yeah, and he throws a good deep ball. Like, I mean,
Joe Burrow doesn't have elite – he doesn't have an elite arm. He doesn't have that Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. It's good enough.
Plenty good enough.
And the reason Joe Burrow's special is the intangibles are through the roof. More than anything else with Joe.
He's a great leader.
Intelligence,
he's
his
smart.
leadership.
Yeah, he gets the team to believe in him.
Yes.
You know.
Well, Tyvis talked about that because Tyvis played with him.
Yeah, and he's unselfish. There's a lot of things to like about Joe Burrow. And by the way, I thought he was. I mean, maybe elite is hard to say, but I thought he was I think he was an elite quarterback coming out of LSU.
Yes.
To win the national title,
I agree.
Amazing, talented receivers to throw to.
He was a no doubt first overall pick.
Yes.
But as a quarterback, there was just a lot of his strengths are things that are harder to measure. If you just lined up Joe Burrow with some of the other best quarterbacks, those guys would be better at some of the tangible things.
Well, I promise you, there's not a more confident guy that plays that position than Joe Burrow.
No chance.
Well, he was in the same draft as Herbert and Tua. They all went in the top 6. And if you compared arm strength, Burrow, Tua, Herbert, I mean, Herbert probably has the stronger arm on paper.
But Joe can, you feel like he reads the brains of his wide receivers. And obviously he and Chase have played together a long time, so that's a little easier. But he just connects on a level, and that's what you're hoping if you draft Shedeur.
Yeah.
That he's of that ilk. And again, it's unfair to compare him certainly with Brady and even with Burrow. But you're hoping that he's the next guy that's better than his raw talent because he's so special in the brain, in the heart.
And one last thing on that, then we can move on if we want to. But when Jason mentioned and compared it to Tom Brady the other day, we made a little social clip and people were like, Tom Brady had elite traits. He was an elite processor and he had a great arm at the end of his career. When he was coming out of Michigan, we didn't know those things about Tom Brady.
And he would have been drafted in the 6th round.
And I wasn't old enough to remember that draft process, but you don't fall to the 6th round if you have elite processing. Oh, and by the way, you happen to have a top 10 arm on your 45. You could project that out. You're not falling to the 6th round.
Right. Was it Drew Henson that he was splitting time with?
Yes.
Right,
You can develop some of these things throughout your career.
Yeah.
I think, and Dustin, tell me right or wrong because I don't know the answer. Is it easier to develop the mental side of things or improve on some of the physical side of things as a prospect once you enter the NFL?
Man, that's a good question.
Thank you.
I don't know that there's an easy answer to that.
It's probably position by position, player by player,
probably
right?
So. I think there's certain things that you can improve upon in terms of physical strengths as a quarterback, as a player in general. But like the mental approach, you probably have to have that. Like I don't know the guys who don't have confidence in college get it in the NFL. I mean, the NFL is very humbling.
Same with leadership. That's hard. I mean, as you mature, maybe you grow into it a little bit. But
but also it's tough to have the confidence to come into the locker room when you're 22 years old and be able to lead grown-ass men who are 35 years old and have families. You know, there's a certain level of authenticity that those guys can they can read through the bullshit. They know if you're a good leader or not.
Doesn't the quarterback ultimately have to be the leader of the football team?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, you can't.
Look at the Browns last couple of years.
Right. You can't. It feels like you can't. I don't think you can be successful as a team unless your quarterback's the leader.
The only team I could think of that may not have been the case was that Ravens team with Ray Lewis when Trent Dilfer was the quarterback.
But I bet Flacco was still.
No.
Oh,
2000,
the first one.
2000.
With Dilfer.
But that was a different era of football.
Yeah,
so it may be changed.